my big Bible. I usually read in the smaller Bible, but I'm reading in so Deuteronomy 3, and we're going to the 18th verse. Okay? And it says, I commanded you at that time, saying, the Lord your God hath given you this land to possess it. Ye shall pass over armed before you, brethren, the children of Israel, all that are meet for the war. But your wives and your little ones and your cattle, for I know that ye have much cattle, shall abide in your cities which I have given you, until the Lord have given rest unto your brethren, as well as unto you, and until they also possess the land which the Lord your God hath given them beyond Jordan, and then shall ye return every man unto his possession which I have given you. So from this we learn that the giving of them rest was nothing more or nor less than the establishing of them in their possession. The same thing is also shown by the following words. And it says, for ye are not as ye come to the rest and to the inheritance, which the Lord your God giveth you. But when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he given you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then there shall be a place. So in Deuteronomy 12:8, so let's go Deuteronomy 12:8. And I'm going to read 8 through the 10th verse. Because I believe the 11th verse has already been read. So in the Deuteronomy 12, starting at the 8th verse, it says, ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance, which the Lord your God giveth you. I'm going to go back to the 9th verse. It says, for ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance, which the Lord your God giveth you. But when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he give you rest from all your enemies round about, that ye dwell in safety. So he speaks of rest in the 9th and the 10th verse. And he tells them when they're able to rest. Says, in further confirmation of the idea that the promised rest comprehended quiet possession of the land, we read in 2 Samuel 7:1. Let's read 2 Samuel 7:1. So go to 2 Samuel 7th chapter, the first verse. Let's read the first to the third verse. 2 Samuel in the Old Testament, the 7th chapter, the first to the third verse. It says, and it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth with curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. Okay? It is evident then that the rest promised to the Israelites was the inheritance into the rest Joshua led them, as it is written, and the Lord gave them rest round about, according to all that he sware unto their fathers. And there stood not a man of all their enemies before them. The Lord delivered all their enemies into their hands. In Joshua 21:44. And I'm not going to be able to read all of them, but I'm going to try to read as many as I can. Joshua 21:44 and 45. And you can also go to Joshua 22. It also talks about it. But I'm going to read Joshua 21 and 44. And the Lord gave them rest round about, according to all that he sware unto their fathers. And there stood not a man of all their enemies before them. The Lord delivered them delivered all their enemies into their hand. And there fell not aught of any good thing which the Lord had spoken unto the house of Israel. All came to pass. Although God did give to the Israelites the land of Canaan, Abram had no part in it. Acts 7 and 5. Let's go to Acts 7 and 5. In Acts 7, the 5th through the 7th verse, Acts 7, the 5th through the 7th verse, and he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no children. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil from 400 years, evil for 400 years. And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God, and after that shall they come forth and serve me in this place. Neither did Isaac and Jacob, to whom the promise was made, as well as to Abraham and the apostles, after mentioning these patriarchs, many other worthies says, and these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. God having provided some better things for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. Hebrews 11 and 39. I'm going to read 39 and 40. And I already said it, but I want to read it in scripture in 39 and 40. And I think I already read it, though. Yeah, I did. I already read it. That was Hebrews 11, 39 and 40. This shows that the possession of the land of Canaan by the Israelites did not fill all the specifications of the promise. This is still more evident from the fact that they were at peace when the Lord renewed the promise. 2 Samuel 7 and 10. But how shall we explain the statement in Joshua 21, 43 and 45? That God gave to the Israelites that which he promised, simply on the ground that the partial inheritance which they had might have been made complete. And if they had obeyed and trusted God, that they did not have the complete rest and inheritance that was promised to Abraham, is evident from the fact that the promise to him including nothing less than the possession of the whole world. Let's read Romans 4:13. Romans 4:13 through 15. And I think I've read it before, but I'm going to read it again. For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. So now from Jeremiah, let's read Jeremiah 17. And as we read Jeremiah 17, we're going to read Jeremiah 19 through the 21st. Thus said the Lord unto me, Go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, Hear ye the word of the Lord, ye king of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, that enter in by these gates. Thus said the Lord, Take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. It says we know that God designed that the Israelites should be forever established in the land of Canaan, whose capital is Jerusalem, was to be the capital of the whole world, even as the New Jerusalem will be the capital of the earth made new. But although they were given possession of the capital of their inheritance, they entered not into the full possession thereof because of unbelief, so that it was the same as though they had never had any of it. But the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, and so there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. This rest is the same as the promise to Abraham, namely the whole earth. For after evildoers have all been cut off, the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Psalms 37:11. Let's look at Psalms 37:11 through the 13th verse. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnash upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. And the fact that some could not enter into rest because of unbelief does not invalidate the promise that those who will now believe shall enter into it. For the rest was prepared and completed from the foundations of the world, and God will not allow his original plan to be frustrated. With the knowledge that the earth is the rest that was promised to Abraham and to his seed, and which remains for us who believe, it is very easy to understand. Let's look at Hebrews 4:3 and 4. Let's look at Hebrews 4:3, 4, and 5. For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundations of the world. For he spake into a certain place of the seventh day of this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest. So, and the relation which the fact these there stated bears to that rest. Thus the apostles says, and God did rest on the seventh day from all his works. This is positive proof of the statement made just before, namely, that the works were finished from the foundations of the world. And if you look at Genesis 2:3, it says that God rested on the seventh day from all his works which he had made, and that his blessings pronounced upon the seventh day was because that in it he had rested from all his works which God created and made. He made the earth to be inhabited, Isaiah 45:18, and gave it to men for a peaceable abode. And the fact that he rested on the seventh day was a proof that the works were finished and the rest prepared. The Sabbath, therefore, the memorial of God's rest, a day in which to be glad through the work of God and to triumph in the works of his hands as we meditate upon their greatness. Psalms 92:4 and 5. For the Lord has made me glad through thy work. I will triumph in the works of thy hands. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. A brutish man knoweth not, neither do a fool understand this. It's an assurance that God has prepared a rest for his people, and that they will share it just as surely as he is the great creator who changes not. The rest that remains is, therefore, the coming inheritance and kingdom of the saints. The another day of Joshua is the day of final reward, when Christ shall descend in glory, sitting upon the throne of his glory, having received the uttermost parts of the earth for his possession, that he may rid it of all that corrupted. He will say to the righteous who have kept the faith, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. Matthew 25:34.